New iMacs coming this year with only M2 chips instead of M3 chips. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel. So what we're going to do today is a couple things. We're going to go through like 4 or 5 different Apple specials, product specials, what's the best price you can get. And then I go through like 15 related Apple stories, news stories, including that one on possible new iMacs with the M2 chip. So unusual, right? Sit back and relax and let's get into the Apple news. All right, so let's start out with the specials right now. Right now we have $499 at B&H right here for the M2 Mac Mini, which is a good deal. Obviously you've seen this for $100 off before, but it's still a really good deal here. I just noted down here, it's kind of unusual. So if you add another, if you go up to 512, they're going to add the typical $200 here. But if you actually go up to 16 gigs of RAM, they're not giving you that discount. They're going to actually add $300 on there, which is kind of crazy. I just noticed that kind of thing right here. Look at that. Unusual, and that's what Apple does. I guess this is actually B&H, but anyways, kind of funny. $499 for the M2 Mac Mini. All right, the number 2 special. I don't use Woot that much, but if you like Woot, take a look over here. They're actually selling right now, it's only for 5 more days, I think, $1249 right here, the 14.2-inch MacBook Pro M1. It's basically the 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigabyte storage, 2021 model. It's refurbished, obviously it's not brand new, but it's $1249, so that's a really low price for that as long as it's in good condition. Do your own research. I didn't order it myself. I'm just showing you what's available. Number 3 is one of the best deals I've seen so far. If you want a big screen, here's the Apple MacBook 16-inch with Liquid Retina, M1 only, 10-core CPU, 16-core GPU, 32 gigs of memory, 512 SSD though, $1899 right now for the 16-inch. Obviously, it says it was $1899 before, $1,000 off. So if you want the base model here, it's kind of the base model. That's still a great price for the 16-inch. I know people kind of like the 14 because of the size, but if you need a big screen, this is a good price. All right, now this next one's from B&H. It may not seem like the best deal only because of the last one we just saw, but this is the Apple 16.2 MacBook Pro. Now this one's actually going to be the same basic model, but this one comes with, let's scroll down here, 32 gigs of RAM and let's see in here, 1 terabyte SSD, all right? $23.99, so that's $1,100 off. It used to be $34.99 right there. So you're getting $1,100 off. You're getting the full terabyte plus 32 gigs of RAM on the 16-inch big screen. That's actually still a really good deal. And then just 2 more. Obviously, this is still on sale on Amazon, and I think if you're looking for the 15-inch base model, you should pick this up. Right now, it's $1049 right here. You can see it right here, 19% off. So it used to be $12.99 like we always talk about. And it looks like, let me just see here, this is actually the gray color. Long story short, though, this is typically a little bit, about $100 more. You can usually find it on sale. It's usually not the full $12.99. But overall, this is a really good deal right now, and I don't know how long it's going to last on Amazon. I'll have a link to it in the description, so pick one up. And then finally, if you're an iPad user, you don't need anything more than this. You don't need the M1 or M2 chips and all that stuff. Here it is, the Apple 9th generation. It's just got the A13 Bionic, 10.2-inch right here. So it's, obviously it's the last version of this one. $269, 18% off right now. It used to be $329. This went back up to around $329. It was on sale, it was down to $249. $249, I guess, about a week ago during the Prime deals, but it went back up to $269. But I haven't seen it this low for a little while, so I don't know how long this one's going to be around. So pick it up if you want an iPad that can do just about anything you want it to do, and you don't need much more power than this if you're just a basic user. All right, so let's get into the news now. Here's the first story. It's kind of funny. It says, another rumor is the 24-inch iMac refresh with M2 and M2 Pro coming, all right? So we kind of go down here. This Mac Okakara, can't pronounce it, but anyways, it doesn't matter, which is often well-sourced when it comes to hardware rumors. He believes the iMac ship dates are an indicator of the upcoming hardware revision. And he says, according to the site, Apple may be planning an upgrade to from the M1 to the M2 chip and the M2 Pro chips. Can you believe this? Again, take it with a grain of salt. These are all just rumors. He's saying switching to the M2, which was released last year, would presumably give the iMac opportunity for more RAM. He says prior to now, obviously they skipped the M2 and everyone thought they were going to hold off to the M3s. However, he's saying that no M3 Macs will be shipped in 2023. So he's thinking Apple may just slide in the M2s in these devices, sell them, and then maybe a year from now go to the M3 and the iMacs. This is what he's saying. I'm just giving you the information. You can read this on Mac Room, or 9to5Mac, actually, 9to5Mac. So if you want to read this article, go there, search for this. You do your own research on this, but it's a little crazy. I don't know what's going on. All right, the next one is kind of what I predicted, right? It says cheaper next-gen Apple Vision headset will likely drop eyesight feature to save costs. I didn't guess that, but I guessed the range. So I guess the eyesight feature, there's a screen on the outside of these goggles that project your eyes out. It's not your actual eyes, it's a screen that shows them. And in here it's saying that the company is apparently aiming for a price point in the $1,500 to $2,500 range. Right now it's like $3,500, which is crazy. Even at $1,500 to $2,500, I think it's a fail. I think it needs to get below $1,000. You tell me. I mean, I know there's going to be specific people that want it for, $1,500 to $2,500, but it's a very specific device. But what it's saying is Apple prepares for the rollout of the first Vision Pro headset for early next year. The company teams are already focused on the next generation versions, all right? So this is for the next generation version, but they're saying that this eyesight, I guess the eyesight feature, they're gonna drop that because they can get rid of that screen on the outside, and that's gonna help them cut that cost by $1,000, plus some other little things. You tell me, would you like that feature on there for $1,000? I don't think it's needed, but at the end of the day, you tell me. All right, so Apple is actually maybe announcing new iPad models coming out this week coming up. Or, obviously this is going to launch, today should be Monday, so it's going to be this week, or even today even actually. It says Apple to announce new iPad models this week. So down here it says the current generation iPad Air was released almost 3 years ago, and currently it sports the M1 chip. It says it's supposed to go up to the M2 chip. I mean, do you really need this much power in that? I think the M1 chip's fine. And then it's saying the new iPad mini should sport the A16 Bionic chip. Currently is the A15 Bionic chip. So again, just a very small, I guess, bump of maybe 18% on performance and stuff like that. So, but I mean, these things are so fast as it is. I just don't know why. I mean, why do they keep doing this? They should probably just wait for the feature sets to bump them up once the things change actually the design or the screens or something, not just one integration of the chip, because it's not going to make that much of a difference to most users. Again, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I mean, that's just my experience. This next one I thought was just interesting. It says, here's how Apple's TV growth compares to other streaming platforms. So everyone knows like the streaming platforms and the TVs are like where all the money is right now, a lot of money at least. And if you can get the majority of people with eyes on that stuff, you can sell the ads, you can do everything. So we go down here and it says, it's kind of amazing because it says you can take a look at ranking power. Amazon Prime, it says at 22%. Netflix at 21%. So it looks like Amazon Prime is beating Netflix. I don't think that's actually true after reading the article. It says like obviously a lot of people have to have Prime because they use Amazon for shipments and it comes free with it in a lot of cases. So there you go. That's probably why. But Netflix is at least right around there, let's just say that. Then they have Max in here at 15%, Disney at 12%, Hulu at 11%, Paramount at 8%, and Apple TV is way down here, basically at 7%, which is kind of crazy. So you tell me, I mean, you can see in here, Apple TV's down here. It's growing though like this. This is growing too. Prime's growing, Netflix is growing, Max is kind of evening out, Disney's going way down, Hulu's going down there. So it looks like Apple's one of the growing ones, including Paramount, where a couple of these in the middle are kind of shrinking. So overall, if they can get a foothold on that, they can offer a lot more features. But again, I want a lot of people to do well here because I don't want kind of to go back to the way it was where you have to spend so much money for one thing. But at the same time, if these things all get splintered out like this, you end up spending just as much anyway, which is a bad thing also. All right, this next one's a fun one as well. It says Google search payment makes up 14 to 16% of Apple's profits. If it's banned, what then, all right? So we talked last week about this. So Google pays Apple to make them the primary search engine on their phones and stuff, around $18 billion a year of pure profit. Think about this for a second. And that's actually up to 16% of Apple's total profit. Right now there's an antitrust case against Google and Apple about doing this, is making it like a monopoly, only like that's the only search engine. So Apple could very well lose this, all right? And that could lose almost 16% of their total profit as a company overnight. And so you can see in here, it says, let me just see here, it says it started at something, now it's in 2021 it was 15 billion, now it's around 18 to 20 billion dollar range that Google's paying Apple. So it says what happens if if Google loses the antitrust case, which could really happen here, which would cause it to be removed from Apple. So long story short, they wouldn't be paying Apple the money anymore. 9 to 5 Takes here says Apple could absolutely create a search engine that respects user privacy while still generating income. So they're saying that it's not going to be as big as a hit to actually Apple, because Apple would just create their own at that point, or bring in another search engine and maybe get half that amount. So maybe it would only be 8% hit initially in the first year and all their profits. So overall, it's a fun article of how much money people are throwing around for basically just adding a search engine. But it's kind of interesting to think about if this goes down. All right. One thing I've noticed, if you're investing in any type of thing, you should invest in unopened Apple products, all right? I've talked about this many times. It's crazy. So it says rare 20-year-old Apple Employee Award goes up for auction alongside uncirculated iPhones. So here's the award here, these like little bricks, you know, here's a 20-year, 30-year, 40-year. So basically, if you go into here, it says, and this is what I was talking about earlier, it says, there was actually an unopened iPhone sale at a whopping $190,000 back in July. And I think that person got screwed because now they're a lot less. $190,000 for an unopened iPhone, I think first generation, one of the first ones. And then down in here it says there's another 4 gigabit sealed original iPhone that was only produced by Apple for a couple of months, and that starts at 20,000 bid right now. And then there's another rare one in this uncirculated 8 gigabyte model in a FedEx shipping box, which I don't know why that makes a difference. You can see it right here. How do you even know it's in there? I mean, I'm sure they scanned it or something. Anyways, that starts at 10,000 bucks. So, but when you get that, how are you gonna know? Like, you're gonna wait 10 years, sell it, and then nothing's in there, like a piece of metal or something? I don't know. Anyways, just the funny thing, like anything that comes out with Apple, if it's the first generation of something that's new, buy one, keep it in the package, wait about 20 years, and you're gonna at least, you know, 2,000% your money, and I think it's a great investment overall. All right, here's a really quick one. Apple's selling USB-A to USB-C cable for the first time following the i15 launch. You can see it here, it's like a little white braided cable. They're now selling it on their store for $19.95 right here. That's kind of cool. It says this USB-C to USB-A cable is USB-IF certified and compatible with the USB-C enabled Mac, iPad, or iPhone. And this says, presumably this means it'll work with CarPlay, and that's probably the most common reason they're gonna be buying this cable. So long story short, they do have a cable out finally, USB-C on one side, USB-A on the other, because you can plug into your existing chargers, or you can plug into your car for CarPlay and stuff like that. Not bad at 20 bucks, but you still shouldn't have to do this. We always talk about AirTags, and we talked about some of the benefits, but we always talk about a lot of the bad things. Here's another one. It says AirTag stalking has led to multiple murderous claims lawsuit against Apple. So right now there's a class action lawsuit that Apple claims that AirTag stalking has led to multiple murders. It comes from 20 different US states. So if you have these things, just be careful. If you have a car or something, you see something unusual in your car and you find one of these, be very careful about it because it means someone's tracking you. And a lot of times they're using this not just for stalking, but for stealing cars. I think it happened to like, Unbox Therapy, that I think they put something in his car and it was tracked and stuff. So long story short, keep an eye on this. Is, there's a lot of good things that happen with this, but there's a lot of bad ones as well. All right, now look over here. It says the AstroPad launches Slate beta for control for your Mac with iPad and Apple Pencil. So this is kind of cool. So AstroPad is, they do Luna display. That's another thing that they offer where you can beam up stuff on your iMacs and stuff. Anyways, what this device does is it's going to allow you to have an iPad and then you can use an Apple Pencil and it's going to be a blank screen. It's not, you won't see anything, but you'll be able to use it as a trackpad, number one. You can write also, turn your handwriting on an iPad into text on the Mac. You can draw, use the iPad as a no-screen pen tablet. Hover works with Apple Pencil, hover on newer iPad models, simulated hover on older pads. So basically, it's just going to be, you put your iPad down and you can like, draw cursive on it and stuff. It's not going to show up on the iPad, but it'll show up on your Mac. So you can do like documents and you can write handwriting notes and stuff. Just something a little, it's going to be like a little dongle you stick in, I think, a little or software or something like that. But anyways, just kind of a cool product coming out. And you just search for AstroPad Slate, and it's going to be in beta right now. It's looking for people to test it out. All right, this next article is kind of a negative for Apple, but it's interesting. It says Q3 Mac shipments fell dramatically, but that's no surprise. So it says PC shipments fell for all except for HP, all right? Overall, PC shipments in the third quarter of 2023 fell about 7.6%. But if you scroll down here, it says for Apple, the fall of Mac shipments is either 23.1 or 24.2, and it dwarfs basically all seen PC brands. But then they say, obviously, Mac shipments they have seen huge growth during the pandemic, and a lot of people bought them at that time. Plus the chips, all the new chips, people bought those. And they're so good that people aren't kind of upgrading quickly. That's really the good reason why this is happening. So they're down quite a bit, Macs, 23% versus only 7% on PCs. But everyone bought the Macs, and the M1 and M2 chips are so good, nobody wants to upgrade, or at least upgrade from the M1s to the M2s. And there's the problem here. Just interesting, but they're still down almost 24%. All right, this next one's interesting. Remember Star Trek? Apple's researching how to make Star Trek Communicator badge. It's got a patent in here. In a nutshell, I read the article. It's something on your throat where you talk in someone's direction. It beams your voice over to them, and then basically only you can hear it without earphones on, so you can use it across long distances, not where you can see each other, but it's almost like nobody around you can hear it, but you don't have headphones in. Apple thinks headphones are kind of, they don't like the way they are. They like things to be free and stuff, so they're putting all this money into this technology, just like Star Trek. you know, beam me up Scotty type stuff, but a little bit different. And this is kind of cool, but at the end of the day, I mean, do we need it? And then there's two more that are kind of not really Apple related, but still fun stories. New York law would require kids to get parental permission to use Tik Tok, YouTube, and more. So YouTube I'm not so happy about because then maybe my stuff will go down, right? But it's saying they're going to be setting screen time limits, disabling notifications between midnight and 6 a.m., blocking or limiting access to these same hours. Long story short, though, I do think somehow, I don't agree with New York in a lot of things and most things, to tell you the truth, that any of the laws that they make. But this law might be a good thing with TikTok and those things because I think it's just eating away kids and stuff. I know people are going to hate that reaction, but at the end of the day, I think there has to be some kind of limit to this stuff. You tell me, am I right or am I wrong? And then finally, if you're an Apple lover, you might get a kick out of this last story. It says Microsoft hammered with a $29 billion back tax bill. Basically, in a nutshell, it says the IRS sent a surprise bill to Microsoft, hitting the company with a $28 and almost $29 billion bill for back taxes because they kind of missed stuff. And it doesn't include penalties, or it doesn't include back tax or interest on the loan and stuff. So long story short, if you know, this is just a shot against, kind of a fun article, a shot against Microsoft. Now, I use them as well. I actually have a computer sitting right back there, so I'm not all 100% Apple, but it's still funny to see some of these big players that didn't pay all their taxes get hit with it. But then again, you know, who knows, you know, if they're even right in this. I mean, it has to go, it looks like they're suing them back and stuff. So the government too, you can't trust either side. I don't know who they root for in this, but it's kind of a weird kind of story I wanted to share. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. I hope everyone likes these news stories. Let me know, give me some more comments on what you want to see, how I can change this to make this better, this format better. I just want to make it more enjoyable for people, but I'll talk to everybody in the near future here. Have a good week. Peace.